In the last video, I talked to you about how I left the D and ended up in Arizona living my dream life. It hasn't been all rainbows and butterflies, let me tell you. It has been a crazy, challenging journey, but I guess that's just life. And we all have our own experience of it. I want to take you to a very pivotal moment for me, and that is the worst D of all, death. I'm probably gonna tear up during this one. Just a little warning, I'm gonna do my best to get through this, okay? One of my biggest fears when I moved to Arizona was the death of my parents. I dreaded and feared the day that I got that phone call that someone's gone and I wasn't there. That was one of the hardest parts about moving to Arizona, was leaving my family and being so far away and not being able to just be there when I was needed. It's hard. It's hard to be far from your family, not gonna lie. It was a big, big decision to move to Arizona and move this far from my family. Let's go back to the summer of 2022. I had finally overcome a lot of my fears. I was doing awesome in real estate. Life was starting to take off for me. I was super excited. And then the market shifted and real estate stopped. And I was like, you know what? I've been working my butt off for the last couple of years. I've been not going home that much because my parents were like, do the open houses, stay busy, go get it. And I did. I spent a lot of time working my butt off during the busy real estate market in 2020, 21, and going into 22. I was kicking butt. I decided, you know what? I'm going to take this time. I'm going to take the opportunity and be present and go spend time with my family. Business has slowed down. I'd like to spend some time with you guys. You're going to be around, right? And she's like, yeah, we're going to be around. But your dad just found out he's got to have this surgery. Do you want to be home for the surgery? And I was like, well, I can be. Like, is it a serious surgery? And they're like, no, it's not a serious surgery. You know, he's got an aneurysm on the outside of his stomach. It just needs to be repaired. We'll do it after you leave. You know, how long are you coming? We'll schedule it for out, past that date. So that's what they did. And it was the first time that I didn't fight with anybody. I didn't argue with them about their health, and I didn't argue with them about their house, because that was our old way of being. That's the old conditioning. And I wanted a new relationship with my family because they are aging, and this is not how I want things to end. Finally, even kind of joked with Dad, hey, do we know what to do if something happens to you guys? I've never really talked about it. We're an avoidant family. We don't like to talk about deep shit. So, do we know what to do? And my brother starts rattling off Mom and Dad's death wishes. Okay, just asking. I'm glad somebody knows. All right, brother, it's on you. And my dad was even like, hey, my will's in there on the table. Do you want to read it? No, Dad, just asking. We had just had a real estate attorney come in and talk about, life planning and how things can get really messy if life is not in order when the family dies. So I felt relieved that my parents had finally taken that step and had some things in place, so we knew what to do if something happened to them. So I took the long way home. Drove across the north part of the country. I went to Mount Rushmore, went through Utah, Park City, just had a beautiful trip, and got to talk to my dad the whole way home. And my air conditioner did not work in my car worth of crap the whole way home. So as soon as I got back to Arizona, I'm like, Dad, I'm getting a new car. And of course, my dad's the car guy. So he walked me through getting a new car, what color, which vehicle, all the things that I was going to do when I got back. So that was July 14th, 2022. I signed the line on my new leased vehicle. July 15th, 2022, my dad went in for his surgery and made it out of surgery just fine. And then later that night, the doctor came by and was like, you don't look good. I think you might be having a heart attack. And my dad was like, okay, well, call my wife and call my son and let them know what's going on and do what you got to do, Doc. My brother made the phone call and said, hey, Something's up with Dad. We're on our way to the hospital. Hour or two later, my mom calls and she says, Dad didn't make it. My dad was 69, healthy-ish, played in 2 golf leagues, was still working. Totally did not expect that. Totally did not expect it. I came back and life was different. They take a piece of you with them when they go. And it sucks. It fucking sucks. I'm going to say that. But we're not in control. Death happens and we have no control over it. It's God's timing. Sorry, I told you there's going to be tears in the death, the big D of death video. My mom wasn't well. She wasn't well for a long time. But after my dad passed, her health just totally declined and she just went downhill. And I found out on my birthday, or the day after my birthday of June 2023, my mom ended up in the hospital and told me again, don't come home, stay there and work, don't spend your money. Seriously, Mom? Seriously. So I asked my brother, what's Mom's status? And he's like, I don't know. They're going to give her some antibiotics and see how it goes. I was like, okay, well, I'm coming home and I will come home for as long as I need to come home, but you need to give me a heads up because I need to drive. It's a long drive. Another big D. A long drive back to Michigan. And I got to bring my dog. So I need to know, is Mom okay? And a couple of days later, he's like, she's not really doing good. So I got in my car and I drove back to Michigan in about 2.5 days and went to be by my mom's bedside. My mom passed on July 20th, 2023, exactly a year and 5 days after my dad. So she was 67. Never thought this was ever going to happen. I thought I'm not surprised the way they went. I just thought it was 10 years down the road. I thought I had 10 more years with them. And I think the only piece I have around most of it is just that I know that their souls were meant to be together. They were meant to be together and they're now together again. So there's some peace. There's some peace around that. It doesn't make the grief and healing any easier, but it helps. It definitely helps. Death is inevitable. Inevitable? Inevitable. No one makes it out alive. I don't want to joke about it, but that is part of living your dream life, is you can't let the fear of death consume you every day. Because eventually it's going to happen and we cannot predict when it's going to happen. So you need to live each moment, every day, doing things that bring you joy and love. You're meant to live your dreams. With death, there's rebirth. And so a new me, a new life, a new way of being is beginning right now. So you get to see it all on video. The rebirth after the death of the parents.